Hey everybody, Jason Holland with Jason Holland Fishing, here to give you the real secrets on the Texas rig. Alright, so today we're going to talk about the Texas rig. The Texas rig is really the staple in bass fishing. It's a great way to catch big fish, it's a great way to catch a lot of fish, and you really can fish a Texas rig anywhere. And all a Texas rig is a bullet weight, a hook, and your soft plastic, whatever that it may be. Worm, crawl, lizard, a lot of different options. So let's talk about what you throw a Texas rig on. So today I've got a Cashin Icon rod. This rod is a 7-foot medium heavy fast action. 7-foot medium heavy fast action is by far the most popular rod. It's the most versatile rod. You can throw a lot of different things on it. So for all the new fishermen that are here in the state of Tennessee, if you're looking out to go out and buy some new gear, get you a 7-foot medium heavy fast action rod. That's going to be absolutely perfect for you. You can do a lot of things with it. Talk about the reel. This is a Lew's Tournament MB reel. It's a bait casting reel, low profile, so your hand can get around it, grasp it really well. And this is actually in a 7:1 gear ratio. All that means is that the more line gets picked up every time you turn the reel. So the gear ratio means how much line gets picked up as you reel it in. And this actually is a pretty fast gear ratio. Again, you want to pick up the slack Texas rig. So let's tie it. Got our leader line here. And we'll give you a couple different options as we go through this. So typically what you'll do is you'll just put on your bullet weight, slide it through, and then from there you'll tie your hook on. Pretty straightforward. Now we're going to give you a couple tricks and a couple tips that you can add to the process to make it do a couple different things. One, you can take a bobber stopper. And what a bobber stopper does is it allows to keep that weight next to your bait and not allow it to slide up and down. So bobber stopper, you isolate one of them, and then if you can see on there's a little hook built in, a little loop built into the process, and so you slide your line through it and then you just pull it up, and here you go. You've got this little black bobber stopper. Now from there, another option that you can do is you can put on a silicone skirt. And what that will do is make your Texas rig more like a jig. And so we're going to just slide it through the middle here. And there you go. That's how that will go on. So again, those are a couple quick tips that you can add to, little accessories you can amp up your game of the Texas rig. But for simplicity's sake, we're going to tie the basic Texas rig. We're going to pull our bobber stopper off here. So basic Texas rig, you take your line, go through your weight. Now, this weight is a tungsten weight. It's a 3/8 tungsten. Tungsten's really hard, very dense metal, and so it allows to get a heavier weight and a smaller profile, but also allows you to feel the bottom. You still have your basic lead weights, lead bullet weights. If you're just getting into fishing, they're cheap. You can get a bunch of them, get a lot of different weights, very inexpensive. So you can start with lead. This is actually a tungsten weight. So you slide your weight on your line, and you come back in, and you tie on your hook. Hook that we're using is a 5/0 Trocar. Huge fan of that product. But again, you can pick up any hook will work just fine as long as it's got this offset, and we'll talk about that in a second. So you tie whatever knot that you like to tie. I'm going to tie my granddad knot. Basically put it on, make 6 turns, and then from there, you can see you go through the loop that you created at the bottom, and then all you're going to do is take that line and go right back through the top, the other loop. So that's what you got. Twist it 7 times through the bottom loop, then come back to the top loop. Moisten it, and then just pull everything snug, and then you clip off your tag end. There we go. Now let's put on some baits. A couple different ones that I like to use. Missile baits, big fan of their product. Super soft, a lot of cool colors, a lot of great different options. But you can put on a crawl type bait or a creature bait. This is a great Texas rig bait. Or you can also put on a worm type bait. This happens to be a 6.5 inch straight worm called a quiver by Missile Baits. Really thick body, and it's got this tail that just flaps in the water and gives it a lot of great action. Check them out. Also, Torrent Outdoors is a local product based out of Tennessee, and they make a product called the Striker. It's a 6-inch bait, a lot like the quiver. It's just got a smaller tail, doesn't have that flapping tail. But again, Missile Baits, Torrent Outdoors, both great products to check out. You really like them. So let's rig it up. So we'll take our worm. Now, we talked about our offset hook. What that means, offset, is this little bend right here. And what this bend in the hook does, it actually holds your soft plastic onto your hook. Let me rig it, and this will make a little bit more sense. So, to rig, turn your hook upside down, go right here into the top, try to stay right in the middle of your plastic, and go up to right here where the hook starts to bend. See that? Here's where the hook starts to bend, and that is where you want to push your soft plastic up to. Now, from there, just push it out. It'll come right out the side. And from there, we slide it all the way up to this bend we talked about. Get to the bend and just keep pushing your soft plastic up all the way. I personally like to bury that hook eye in my soft plastic. Protects the knot, and just gives another buffer as you're banging up against things. Now, we got to get our hook point in the bait. So what I do is I go down and figure out where the bottom of my hook is and where that matches up to the bait, and that's where I squeeze. From there, I'll take my hook point and I'll go right into that spot. And I'll push it through, and then there we go. So here's the next piece of it is, with this hook point exposed, we're dragging it through weeds or anything like that, have a tendency to get hooked up. If you take your soft plastic and push it up just a little bit and then pull it back, it buries that hook point in the soft plastic. And now, as I go through weeds, go over logs, limbs, or whatever, I've got a weedless presentation. It's a great way to rig up your baits with the Texas rig. So hey, thanks for joining us. Had a lot of fun going over this with you. Hopefully I catch some more fish for you. Where you want to throw these is anywhere that's got structure. Structure being logs, being could be falling down trees, could be rock, could be grass. Anywhere that there's structure, a Texas rig really shines. It's a really natural presentation. So tie one on, get out and go fishing. Get Jason Holland Fishing. Check me out on all the social media platforms. Love to connect with you. Got some really cool videos out there. Again, thanks to the TWRA for the opportunity to come out and give you the real secret on the Texas rig.